Under the slogan of shaping our digital future, the Arab International Digital Cooperation and Development Forum, the CDF, will bring together representatives and experts from Arab governments, the business sector, civil society, the technical community, academia, and international organizations. DCDF will be held virtually from 13 to 23 December 2021 by ESCO, LAS, ITU, UNCTAD, and UNDESA. Through almost 30 sessions over 8 days, you can participate in policy debate on priority issues in the fields of internet policies and digital development globally and in the Arab region. DCDF aims to align the Arab tracks of the World Summit on the Information Society and the Internet Governance Forum to maximize opportunities for digital cooperation. Register now to join us in this journey from 13 to 23 December. Together, let's shape our digital future.
Thank you for the team of this DCDF, our colleagues in ESCO. And let me once again welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening in different parts of the world. And that is a very valid salutation with this kind of inter-regional and global activity that we are very proud as ESCO to organize it jointly with our colleagues in UNCTAD, as well as our colleagues in our sister organization in the Asia Pacific region, ESCAP. So that is the three organizers. But in fact, the first who has given us the inspiration for that was Oman government when we started a few months ago to set some kind of tracks regarding that Arab International Digital Cooperation Development Forum. So we consider Oman, of course, to be with us as the custodians and champions of this dialogue. So thank you, Dr. Saoud and team. Thank you, Torbjorn, UNCTAD. And of course, thank you to ESCAP, Tiziana and team, and to Witada. Let me introduce my co-moderator, Ms. Kutada Ankunwaktarka, Economic Affairs Officer, Trade Policy and Facilitation Section, UNSCAP. And of course, Mr. Torbjorn is already well known to most of us. He is the head of e-commerce and digital economy branch in UNCTAD. So I'm very happy to have them with us. We have certain scenario and script to facilitate the debate, or let us say the dialogue. There is no debate in this session. It is mainly dialogue. Of course, if there are issues to be debated, it will be very interesting to emerge from the discussion. And we have two rounds. The first round will be like introductory in a way, asking each of the distinguished panelists. We have about 8 panelists today from both regions, and in addition to UNCTAD. So we would like to have some kind of introductory, let us say, interventions, keynote ideas, who we are, how we see the digital economy. And the second part will be how can we see the bridges built between two very important, huge blocks in the world, economically, demographically, and with a huge legacy also in terms of culture and society, the Asia and the Arab region. So building bridges will be part 2. So without further ado, I would like to give the welcome note now to Ms. Witada, and then we move to Torbjorn.
Thank you very much, Aman, and I'm very thankful for having ESCAP here in this event. As Aman said very rightly, that Arab and Asia are both very important players in this digital transformation period. And I'm seeing from the list of speakers that we have here is very well reflect the key players and various experience that both regions can sharing to each other. From SCAP experience, which we work closely with our Asia Pacific member states, we see very diverse positions from very advanced to some countries that still have gaps for improving further.
Vitada, you're muted.
Sorry. Thank you very much for alerting me. I just saying that I'm very thankful for Esquire and UNCTAD to have SCAP participate and co-organize this event. I'm happy to see that we have today the speakers, that the distinguished speakers which reflect very diverse background and development in the digital policies and digital economy in Arab and Asia Pacific regions. I'm sure that they will bring very useful lessons learned to further develop the collaborations and connectivity between the two regions. For the Asia Pacific experience that SCAP has been working together with them, we are pleased that the regions in general progress very well and very fast in e-commerce, but we still also see that there are still big opportunities for improving further, especially to enhance interoperable between countries. That interoperable require not only connected technologies across countries, but also conducive regulatory environment. So in the sessions that we are going to see in a minute, this will reflect very well how the digital communities between country in Asia Pacific and country in Arab would have to take more opportunity to enhance and closing those gaps from economics, social, and also technological point of view. With that, yeah, I would like to give the floor back to Aman to continue to the very interesting session.
Thank you so much. So let us move now to setting the scene. And we all agreed by rationale and by consensus that we will leave it to UNCTAD, because that is really what we are proud of, their work in that area, in digital economy. All of us have some work, but no one have more knowledge and more depths and insights than UNCTAD and our very good friend Torbjorn. Good morning, Torbjorn. Can you set the scene on a global level, please?
Thank you, Ayman. Thank you, Vitada. And it's such a pleasure to be here together with Esquire and SCAP, our friends in the UN family. And I think it's a great initiative to, first of all, organize this big forum and also to have this kind of interregional dialogue that you're organizing. I will show you a few slides just to set the scene, which I hope can also support the following dialogue among these experts and distinguished panelists. Let's just take a look at the whole issue that we're talking about, e-commerce and the digital economy here. We have seen that this has been growing over the past 10 years. And we are seeing that this is really transformational. It is disruptive, which means that how we deal with this digital transformation will have great implications for basically all the sustainable development goals of the UN. It creates opportunities and challenges, and that's why policies are very important. In the pandemic, we have seen that this has taken an accelerated pace. We've seen that the overall share of retail sales that is related to e-commerce has grown from 16 to 19% in one single year in the global level. And we're seeing that this accelerated trend will be sustained also in recovery. One of the things that has also happened is increased reliance on data. And this is a trend that has been going on for a while. And it's the same thing here. We need to ensure that we handle these growing data and data flows well in order to harness them for sustainable development. If we don't do it well, it will risk leading to increased inequalities and divides in the world. We are seeing that in 2022, the total internet protocol traffic is expected to be bigger than all the internet traffic up till 2016. It's rather amazing in one single year. And this is expected to increase even faster as we head towards 2026. And this is happening in a situation where we still have huge digital divides. As was pointed out by Vitada, in some countries in these two regions, we have among the most advanced users of digital technology, and we also have some of the biggest laggards in terms of use of digital technology. So this is a challenge within and across regions. Two frontrunners here, the US and China in the digital economy. These two countries account for 90% of the market capitalization of the biggest platforms of the world. And these platforms, they are becoming increasingly important in the global data value chains in all its stages. And it's of course very relevant to note that China is part of the Asia Pacific region and is having a great impact also throughout Africa and the Arab countries. This is how the platform world looks like. And you can see the 5 big platforms in the US and 2 big platforms in China, Alibaba and Tencent, and the 3rd largest in Asia is Samsung. So it's great to have Korea here in this panel discussion. If you look at Europe and the Arab countries and Africa, you don't see very big platforms to date. And this is something to keep in mind when we think about what policies are needed at the national, at the regional, and at the global level. We have paid a lot of attention to this question of data and data flows in our recent report, the Digital Economy Report. And what is coming out there is that it's a very fragmented landscape. This is why we need to come together, such as today, to talk about how do we deal with this fragmented landscape for data governance. And China is one of the big players, Europe and United States, the other 2 big ones. They are doing this very differently. We need to see how we can reconcile this situation and think about what about all the other players in Africa, in the Arab countries, in Asia, that are not part of these big player groups. How should they relate to this data flow issue? We think we need to go global here. We need to come together. We need to work within the UN to find solutions to this area. I hope that we will touch upon this in today's discussion, but we only have 1 hour and a half, so I'll be very brief. And therefore, I want to offer you an opportunity also to continue this dialogue beyond the DCDF 2021. And we offer this in Geneva in April at the e-commerce week, which we'll be coordinating together with all the E-Trade for All partners, of which ESCWA and ESCAP are very dear friends. So with that as a background, as a scene setter, I look forward to the rest of the session. And thanks again, Ayman and Vitada, for organizing this great event.
Thank you. Thank you a lot, Torbjörn, and it's been insightful. And as I said, that is really what we wanted to set the scene with. Opportunities, kind of mismatch in control of, let us say, the assets of the internet. But nevertheless, 2 regions now in the south are coming here to build bridges, to also create but more, let us say, job opportunities, more economic growth for their citizens in the 2 regions. As we have seen, there are divides even within the same region. And there is divides between the Western world, there is divides in the African world, and so on. But there is no better paradigm for digital cooperation than cooperation in digital economy. It makes sense. It has many champions from all the multi-stakeholders, and that's why we have that diverse panel. Now let me move, with your permission, to the first segment of the first round, which is introducing the speakers from the Arab region. I will moderate that. Then I will give the floor. We have 3 panelists. and then we'll give the floor to Witada to moderate the part related to Asia speakers. And then we will go to the second round, which is the building bridges. So without further ado, let me introduce, as I said, the champion behind also constructing that kind of important topic, Mr. Saud. Dr. Saud Humaid Al-Shuaili is a DG of Policies and Governance and Head of National Space Program in the Ministry of Transport and ICT in Oman. Sabah al-Khair. Good morning, Dr. Saud. You can speak in English or Arabic or French, whatever. We have for the note of the attendees translation in the 3 languages. We have also the chat box and Q&A for any kind of interventions. Dr. Saud, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ayman. Respected speakers, all my colleagues, it gives me an immense pleasure to be amongst you, sharing with you the experience of Oman. And thanks to our friend Torbjorn from UNCTAD, who has set the scene about the digital economy from a global level, who are the key players. Here in Oman, we are not among the key players when it comes to the digital economy. However, the driver behind developing the National Digital Economy Program, as it is known for as it is the same with any other country, is to move from resource-based to knowledge-based to data-driven economy. The country has invested substantially so far in developing the ICT infrastructure. And so far, we have been moving from one phase to another. The last one is toward government digitalization, what has been known as digital government. But there is no maximization of the benefits as a result of the robust infrastructure. We are the country #1 in the region when it comes to submarine cable. We have 135 mobile broadband connectivity, the penetration of the mobile broadband. We have something like 78 to 82 fixed broadband connectivity. We have 5G spread. We have allocated spectrum for 5G. We have many things in place. However, the essence of utilizing data to fuel the economy is not yet in place. That is why when the Ministry of Transport and ICT was established last year, we started immediately thinking how to make use of all these together and aligning the different national programs related to the ICT sector in one program called the digital economy. Our friend Torbjorn talk about the the e-commerce. E-commerce is one of the programs here in Oman, but we aligned with the digital economy. So we developed a national framework in which we see the pillars of the digital economy, surrounded by 5 key pillars, which are the capacity, the digital society, developing the capacity building for the digital economy. And the second thing is the smart governance. As I said previously, we have passed through the digital governance, in which there were huge efforts in digitizing the government services. However, in the smartness, we mean that is to re-engineer those processes and to integrate all these government processes together. That is the smartness, and to allow the sharing of data between the different government bodies. So far, this is not actually in place as the country wanted. The data is not efficiently, the national data is not efficiently utilized. It's not even shared openly to everyone. The business communities, they cannot use data freely until today. The ministry has taken several efforts into that directions, just to make the national data available for end users after being classified, knowing who is producing what of data and who can benefit from what category of data. So we have set, many policies in that area. Recently, we are about also to issue the National Personal Data Protection Law, which is, toward the end of the pipeline in production. So that is the smart governance. The third pillar of the digital economy in Oman, which is the business digitalization. We cannot only focus on the government, but also the private sector has to be shifted to be available online, to be able to interact with the global market online without being able to digitalize their service. or whatever products they are producing to the global market, we will not be able to shift to make use of the data produced by the private sector or the business community. They will not be even able to access the data produced in the government and in the public custodian. The fourth pillar is the legislation. These all three pillars, which is the capacity, the digital society, the digital business, and the smart government, required an ecosystem in terms of legislation. What are the policies required? What are the infrastructure supporting them that will drive the digital economy? Here we have, issued the national cloud first policy that will, develop a plan, the migration plan for the government entity first as a role model for the private sector to move from on-prem to cloud, which will allow the sharing of data, which will allow the integration of services between the different entities. We issued also an open data policy and data sharing policy. And as I said, and also we issued artificial intelligence policy, how the artificial intelligence can be, how the government units can utilize and benefit from the artificial intelligence application. And all these supporting the digital economy transformation. Beside this is the soft infrastructure. The hard infrastructure is focusing on the connectivity, making sure that all government entities are connected efficiently. It's not just to have connection, but have connection that will allow them to interact in a productive way with other entities in and outside the country. We have, as I mentioned in the beginning, we have broadband connectivity, FTTH. We have mobile. Last year, the government has subsidized satellite coverage to rural areas just to make sure that there is no digital divide, there is no society left behind that they cannot access the internet. So the government is subsidizing the telecom operators annually amount of 1.5 million Omani riyal, which is equivalent something like 4 to 4.5 million US dollar, just to make sure that all these rural areas are connected, are covered, since the ground technology is not sufficient to reach them. We have, as I mentioned, the submarine cable that will drive even the data center business in the country. They can host the international data centers, and they can assure the local cloud business flourishment in the country here. We have also approved some cloud service providers to host the government data, because we don't want also just to move from on-prem to cloud without making sure about the data security, the data protection, and all of this. So we are moving gradually before we make the market open to everyone. We accredited providers. We make sure that they meet certain technical and security requirements for some time, and then the market will drive itself. We also accredited some security service providers, those providers who would be able to check the technicality of the government units in terms of their website, the ability of the website to resist any hackers from outside. All of these together is moving in parallel efforts, as I said, from soft and hard infrastructures, and based on the three pillars of the capacity building, digital society, digital industry, and smart governance. That is all mainly in short, as I was told, 5 to 7 minutes. In short, how
that is really very smart. In 3 minutes, yes, you could give us that glimpse.
That is how the government, the digital economy in Oman is framed. This is our national framework. And as I said here, also in the country, since the beginning of 2021, we are embarked on long-term strategic vision called Oman 2040 that draw the strategic line from today all the way to 2040. And all this has to be aligned with that, and aligned across, with the national plan and also across different organizations. So great efforts have been taken, and it will be taken also in the coming future. I hope this gives you a grasp and a picture about the country efforts.
Very inspiring. We see if we can comment on that, we see very proactive governmental moves towards liberalizing really the structure and opportunities for the public-private partnership, which is obvious prerequisite for also FDI and for partnerships with rest of the world. So as I've noticed, a great number of licensing for actors, for partners to the government, that is really opening a lot of doors. And I hope after we see the first round from Arab and Asia, we come back again and see how can we find cross ties between what you have presented as a very lucrative environment and the other players with us today. Thank you so much. With your permission, let me move to Mr. Ahmed Al-Sobki, second panelist here from the first segment. He is the founder and the managing director of Acacia Integration. He is also the former assistant the director general of ITIDA, which is the IT Industry Development Agency or authority in Egypt. And currently, he is the board member of the Chamber of ICT Industries in Egypt as well. He will give us a perspective from his multi-variant backgrounds towards digital economy opportunities in the region and with other regions.
Okay, good morning, Ayman. Good morning, dear panelists. Good morning, all the audience of this important forum. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to represent Egypt in that important event. I will talk, as Ayman said, from my old background. I just left ITIDA early this year because of the retirement, so that I'm very aware of all the efforts that the government of Egypt is doing in cooperation with other stakeholders like the private sector and NGOs for building the digital society in Egypt. You know that Egypt has a lot of legacy systems. Egypt has a very old legalization systems, and for doing the transformation to the digital society, Egypt invested a lot in converting the legal system to be compatible with the new era of digital economy, so that one of the most important programs in Egypt was the legalization program. We could convert or have issued many laws in the past 3 years. One of them is for the cyber security crime, the other for data privacy, also fintech laws, and we are on the process for the digital transactions law, which is the umbrella for many other activities, including the e-commerce. Because if we are talking about a digital economy, we are not talking about the e-commerce, but the e-contracts, the e-procurements, and a lot of other e-applications which should have the legal base for that issue. This is one of the most important programs Egypt did in the last 3-4 years to enable Egypt going toward the digital economy and what we are calling now the new presidency, with the transformation from the old capital to the new capital, which is a newly smart capital near Cairo. This is not only the efforts done, but there is an efforts for re-innovating the full infrastructure and the backbones for the telecommunication in Egypt, whether joining the 4G in the last minute in 2017, and now making all the preparations and for joining the 5G era, in addition to the ambitious program of installing fiber backbone to all the villages in Egypt, which is called Haya Karima, or Good Life program in Egypt, for more than 4,000 villages across Egypt from south to north. This is for only the infrastructure. At the other level, we cannot have a digital economy without having a developed human resources, so that Egypt in the human resources started an ambitious program 5 years ago on both ways. One of these sides are increasing the capacity and increasing the efficiency of the graduates from the disciplines related to the ICT, whether they are computer science or engineering, by providing them with a specialized high quality training from multinational vendors, top of the notch, in the top notch applications like the artificial intelligence, the data analytics, the IoT, and so and many other applications. In addition to changing the curriculum of the existing universities to graduate a high standard graduate on the same level of the international students from the most prestigious universities in the world. In addition to also establishing a new universities, technological university, a new technological university, so that now in Egypt we have 7 new technological universities, which is universities mixing the theoretical background with the applicable science. Not only this, but also Egypt has the privilege to contain or to be the pass for 18 international submarine cables passing by Egypt, and Egypt is now building its data centers hub to be able to host a lot of applications, not only for the digitalization of Egypt, but also for the sake of other commercial and international companies need to have such data centers in the region. Also, Egypt, to protect all these investment in the ICT, Egypt should have a robust cybersecurity program, so that Egypt has established the Supreme Council for Cybersecurities and approximately 6 years ago, and started to build or to implement the strategy for the cybersecurity in Egypt in different applications, in addition to establishing a specialized cert for every sector, like the financial cert, the petroleum cert, the electricity cert, and something, and all of these applications.
Thank you, Ahmed. Because of the time, I know that you will not be able to be in part 2 probably.
Yes.
Or will you be able to be in part 2 regarding the opportunities of bridging?
When part 2 will start?
It will be after half an hour. So,
no.
Okay. So can you just give us in 30 seconds, I mean, from your position as board member in the industry, Chamber of Industries of ICT Industries, how do you see, I mean, cooperation between the ICT industries or businesses in Egypt and the Arab region with Asia? Where can you find this bridges? Because we want to take this before you leave, since you will not be in part 2. Just quickly, 30 seconds.
I
please.
think that there is a lot of success stories in Asia that we need to cooperate in our Arab region to duplicate or to have another model, or to have the same model in our Arab region. I think that
kind of twinning between the stars of the South
Yes.
Asia or the Asian region and
Yes.
the region. So that is one thing, twinning.
Twinning.
Okay. So that can take forms of ventures or joint initiatives and so on. Correct?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Okay. So anyways, I'm really reluctant to stop that interesting information sharing, but to give you equitable time for the rest of the colleagues. I hope you can make it from wherever you are in part 2, even from your mobile. But let us move now to the next presenter before we move to Asia. We have a very important organization, the Digital Cooperation Organization, DCO. And DCO is now in the bridge between the Arab segment and the Asian segment. And that is actually the nature of the DCO. It has also members from both regions. Ms. Ala Abdel Al, VP of Strategy and Governance. Sorry for the time slipping from us, but please give us your intervention, 3 minutes, and we'll come back to you in the next segment.
Great. Good afternoon, everybody. And no, it was really very thoughtful and valuable feedback from all of my colleagues, where I thank for their valuable interventions. I think the better topic that we are discussing today is strengthening Asia and Arab dialogue on the digital economy. And as you have said, Mr. Ayman, we are here the first global present digital cooperation organization, which is a global multilateral organization dedicated to enabling digital prosperity for all. Reflecting on the importance of the speed in digital economy, in our first year, DCO has been able to bring together 7 countries: Oman, Bahrain, Nigeria, Pakistan, Jordan, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, representing a total of 480 million people. 50% of those populations are under the age of 25. And representing a total of 2 trillion combined GDP. And this all efforts is to focus on the collective efforts on digital economic inclusion and bridging the digital gap. So DCO is working on different initiatives spanning on regulatory cooperation, empowerment of youth and women, building on the 34% of female digital participation rate across our countries. Also, in our strategy, we are focusing on the private sector because we really believe and recognize that there is a 6,300 digital startups and 46 million small to medium-sized enterprises that are across our countries that will provide speed in connecting people through the digital economy. So we are very ambitious to impact very quickly because we believe that digital economy is growing quickly. And as stated in according to the World Economic Forum data, estimated 70% of the new value of the economy over the next decade will be based on digital economy. So again, as our colleague Aniket has said, that yes, this digital growth will have some challenges. Some people around the world are lacking the access on digital economy and technology, and digital access. And this will push them, if we do not solve this problem, this will push them further while we are growing and prospering in the digital economy. And again, also highlighting on our colleagues from Oman, this is also shedding the light on how it's important and vital for governments to start thinking and working together and how to come up with the regulation, the privacy standards or policies and infrastructure that will support an inclusive and sustainable digital economy. So again, the Secretary General Antonius Guterres' roadmap for digital cooperation reflects how it is very important and how this digital economy is important for a better and more sustainable future. And the roadmap also has shed the light on the importance of how we can work together on. And they highlighted and defined a global digital cooperation that we need to work and involve countries and the collective effort of countries and multilateral organizations such as the UN with the private sector. So I'm really eager to have this discussion further and to see how we can collaborate private sector and public organization. And as me representing a young organization committed to inclusivity, I'm really looking forward for forming new partnerships in our today's discussion that will help more in enabling the prosperity, digital prosperity for all.
Thank you so much. And that is really what we want to have at the end. If there is consensus, we can build kind of an initiative to take this discussion further and have another episode every quarter or so, and build it more into real active partnership. Thank you so much, Ms. Ala. With this tour between three organizations in the Arab region, I give the floor to Ms. Wetada to moderate the part related to ESCAP and Asia Pacific region. Wetada, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Aman. For Asia Pacific side, we have quite several distinguished speakers here, which reflect the diversity in the region, as you may aware of. ESCAP has been working closely with all these countries that the speaker will be represent, and we found that from the research and the technical system that we conduct, we found that the region has entangled the challenge into domains. One is how to move further from the prosperity of e-commerce to more inclusive participation, not only within the regions, not only within the country, but also to incorporate more number of countries in the regions into these new opportunities. And the second challenge is interoperable of regulations that govern e-commerce as well as other elements in the digital economy. For example, data and also other areas in digital economy domains. So with this, I would invite speakers from Asia Pacific to highlight experience from the country perspectives as well as from their expertise. First of the speakers would be Mr. Sang Ju Son, the Director of Digital Government Corporation Division from Republic of Korea. Mr. San, could you please share experience from the perspective of Korea, which is, we know that very leading in terms of digital transformation, please?
Thank you. From the people in Korea, the law of a government for development of digital economy is providing fundamental necessities for digital economy ecosystem. I think, in my opinion, actually, e-trade readiness assessment framework developed by UNCTAD shows very well what kind of necessities we need. The framework shows that first one is e-commerce readiness and strategy formulation. Second one is ICT infrastructure and services. Third one is trade facilitation and logistics. And fourth, legal and regulatory framework. Fifth, payment solution. Sixth, security development. Seventh, access to financing. So among these necessities, the Korean government concentrated on two things, which cannot be established only by the private sector. First one is ICT infrastructure and services, and second one is legal and regulatory framework. In Korea, ensuring internet accessibility was one of the top political priorities in 1990s and early 2000s. Korean government installed high-speed broadband network all over the country and facilitated social environment and culture for digital economy. Moreover, by providing public services through the internet, Korean government supported citizens and corporations to make the most of the infrastructure. For example, Digital Signature Act was enacted in 1999, and the government implemented public infrastructure-based official digital signature for reliable and safe digital identification. And then developed various public administration services such as e-procurement, e-tax, e-customs to support proliferation of economic activities on the internet. These efforts of the Korean government contributed to building trust among economic units and nurturing e-commerce. And recently, for more convenience, safety, and privacy, the Korean government is developing decentralized digital identity with the help of new technologies such as blockchain and smart devices. Regarding legal and regulatory framework, Korea has various laws and regulations for the digital economy. Chief of all, the Act on the Consumer Protection in Electronic Commerce, which was enacted in 2002, is the most important one. It's particularly noteworthy that consumer protection comes first. Of course, digital economy requires support for proliferation and vitalization in the early stage of its development. However, it could be achieved through what encouraging, supporting, and nudging rather than enforcement of laws and regulations. On the other hand, consumer protection and market integrity is only possible by enforcing fair and proper rules. The Personal Information Protection Act, which was enacted in 2011, for example, does not directly regulate e-commerce. However, this law protects data, which is the essential element of the digital economy, with emerging new types of economic activities in the internet. So personal information has become one of the most valuable assets and needs to be protected to ensure privacy and human rights. I can't deny that in the early phase of digital economic development, compliances like these could be a burden. Nonetheless, it is inevitable to consider building trust from the beginning, and without enough trust, the growth of the digital economy will be limited. Therefore, I recommend to government promoting digital economy that reviewing compliance frameworks of other countries from the beginning and consider setting up its own framework as soon as possible. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you bring up very important part, and it is very consistent to the findings that SCAP has been doing research on the recommendation of do it in the beginning to prepare for compliance, and that will minimize the burden for the country and especially the small players. So thank you very much, and we will return to you in the second part of the conversations on how to build the bridge. Let me move on to another success case in Asia. Everyone knows that China is a big one for e-commerce world. We are honored to have Ms. Wei Wang, the Director General of Institute of Market Economy Development Research Center of the State Council of China. She will representing the perspective of think tank from China in this area. Please, Ms. Wang, please take the floor.
Okay. Thank you very much, and I'm very pleased to have this time to join the dialogue between Asia and Europe. And I would like to share with you some of the China's digital economy development, especially the policy experience. And as everybody knows that China's digital economy is moving on the fast track. And there were two finger number would be very important. The first one is the digital economy scale is already 39.2 trillion yuan in China. And the growth of our digital economy is 3 times of GDP growth. And then the second 39 is that the digital economy contribute to the GDP. The ratio is also almost 39. And more importantly, that digital economy contribute more to service industry rather than agriculture and manufacture at the current moment. And while even China digital economy moving on the fast track, if you look at the total picture of the global map, that China is still among the second group and lag behind the UK, Germany, and America. And the digital economic contribution to their GDP is almost over 60%. Yeah. And well, in China, in the past 2 decades, digital economy is the policy priority to the Chinese government. And as I understand that there were several very important policy orientation and policy priority should be pay attention to. The first thing in China is, well, the government doing a lot of education and advocation to the whole society to understand what is the digital economy and what kind of a policy that the government need to would like to apply. For example, even the President Xi Jinping also take such a kind of a lesson to understand what is digital economy and what is the main part and main driver of the digital economy and how the government should do to promote the digital economy. So education to the whole society is very important and is a fundamentals to China to promote digital economy. And then the second things in China that the government would like to promote or encourage the technology innovation and the investment on the infrastructure nationwide continuously from 2G and to 5G currently. And well, in China, for most of the, how to say, the village can connect to internet through mobile phone or through computers. And also in China, we have a very big ICT industry. And China now is also maybe the top leaders on ICT exporter. And then, well, in China, we think the digital economy could thanks to the consumer internet. And well, there are a lot of innovation among the consumer internet. And the best practice is our e-commerce have a very big power and have a lot of platform. And the competition now is really tough in China. And well, not just e-commerce, because just e-commerce is not enough. And should together with the digital payment and the, for example, another important industry is the logistics or delivery. Together with this kind of support, the e-commerce can be grows very quickly. And up to now that most of the commodity and most of the daily life service can get access to the e-commerce. And now the retailing ratio of our in China online is almost 25%, which is higher than the global average. And well, after consumer internet. Well, since 2015, the Chinese government have a big initiatives to promote the Internet Plus, which is encourage traditional industry to digitalization, especially from for the a lot of traditional industry like retailing, wholesaling, logistics, and even some of the agriculture. So now you can find a lot of digital platform can provide a service to the farmers or to the fisher or to the pig raiser. So Internet Plus is a very important process for China to have a big digital economy. And also now China moving on the data-driven economy in recent year. And I should say here that the big data are, well, not owned or controlled by the government, because in China, most of the digital platform or company are private or international company. And big data are collect, process, and to use to generate a new commercial model, mostly by the private company. And even, of course, Chinese government have some consumer data or business data, and then they can share with each other to promote the digital economy and to have the data-driven economy. And the last things I would like to say is that Chinese government would like to promote the digitalization with themselves. And the e-government at all levels is very important. And we take it as a measure to improve the business environment. So everybody or every market player can get the license now from internet. Because in the old days, if you want to get a license, you have to go to the government building and maybe take you 1 month or several months. But now you can access the government through internet or even through the mobile phone, just one day, or some of the licenses you can get just in a few seconds. So e-government or e-governance in China provide a lot of convenience to the market player and improve our business environment in a society. And well, the last things I would like to say that China, when we are doing policy research, we see that in China, the policy or regulation is very, how to say, inclusive and cautious. And the government would like to cultivate or promote the digital economy. And even though some of the things cannot do offline, but online, the government would have an opening mind to help the business to do the innovation. And also in recent year, China also issued some of the policy on the digital economy. For example, we already have a e-commerce law and a data security law. And also in some of the province, we also have the ordinance on digital economy promotion. And the biggest things in China to guide the digital economy is through our midterm and long-term development plan. For example, the 5-year plan. And this year,
I'm sorry. Please try to wrap beyond the time. Thanks.
Yeah. The fifth 5-year plan is very important. We have will guide China to have more infrastructure and have a high level, digital city countryside, and also to improve our security of data. And the last things, maybe next round, I would like to say something about international collaboration with other countries. Okay,
Yes.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for having to rush you. Thank you for bringing up and alert us that to be success in digital world, including e-commerce here, we need something much more beyond the just on e-commerce. And now I also have another distinguished speaker from China, Mr. Yongwang Lui, the research engineer from China Academy of Information Communication Technologies. So could you please bring your perspective from this very complex technical issue? Mr. Yang Wei seems not in the room. Okay, so then let's go to another distinguished speaker first. Mr. Asta Tasiev. He is the former ambassador to Norway and at last of Kazakhstan. Now the consultant of ESCAP. Mr. Asta, please take the floor.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. And I would like to also thank organizers for this opportunity to share some points. I was expected to speak about the some regional frameworks, agreements, including what's going on, maybe I mean regionally and globally. So I will just touch upon very few aspects, also including for the to save time, and then in the second round I will maybe elaborate more what we are doing with ESCAP and in Central Asia particularly. So regarding the framework agreements and kind of legal basis, it is important to note that there is no such international rule actually existing regulating digital trade right now, because it just did not exist in current full range in all this full meaning of this word digital. 25 years ago when the World Trade Organization was established. So consequently, traditional framework agreements are getting obsolete, I mean, existing ones, with each passing year or even months. And their provisions are subject to significant revision in terms of their content and objectives to reflect new, so-called new digital normal. And very different, we would say that we would think, and it is a difference when we consider the framework agreement on facilitation of cross-border paperless trade in Asia and the Pacific. It is a UN treaty, as we know, deposited with the Secretary General of the United Nations in New York, and it aims at accelerating the implementation of digital trade facilitation measures for trade and development. It was adopted in 2016 and entered into force in February 2029 in accordance with one of its provisions, articles, when 5 countries would ratify it. It goes into force. This happened on February, I mean, in 2021. On the other hand, there is also, as we know, comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, so-called CPTPP, and as a successor of the kind of controversial Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP. And in turn, Asia Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership on Trade, the world's largest regional trade agreement, signed on 15th November 2020, expected to boost intra-regional trade in services, and including commitments that will allow businesses to deliver cross-border services. In experts' opinion, this agreement poses some challenges to previous one, which I just mentioned, the CPTPP. So it sounds like, as I say, vote for the framework agreement on facilitation on cross-border paperless trade in Asia and Pacific, but it is not, of course, I just give a kind of overview of what the main players here right now. Also, in general, according to the 2021 ADB report, digitalizing trade in Asia needs legislative reform. This is the main conclusion. Based on 3 economic country groupings, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, the Central Asia Regional Economic Cooperation Program, called CAREC, and the South Asia Sub-Regional Economic Cooperation, SASEC. Now, regarding the challenges that we have in front of us, both in terms of this legal reform and disruptive technologies, we should say that disruptive technologies also generate polarization of the business world, the vulnerability of employment structures, the concentration of income and regulatory challenges. As post-pandemic digital economies will depend on digital data flows, more than ever, we need to start discussion on future design of international trade regime. The development of infrastructure for innovation and the creation of a more integrated digital market. This is another challenge, a big one for any sub-region within our regions, both Arab and Asian ones. And facilitating cross-border data transfer under transparent rules, protecting at the same time the privacy of the citizens as a fundamental social norm. This is a main challenges, in my view, we face right now. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for keeping it on time, Mr. Askar. Next, I would like to invite.
May I just draw your kind attention to the time? Maybe we can make that Mr. Ted and Adil interventions quickly so that we can take another round for another 15 minutes. Huh? Thank you for understanding. But we will extend the session. We'll extend the session beyond its time.
Thanks. Mr. Adil, could you share your experience quickly, please?
Okay, yeah, I'll do that quickly. Thank you. So first, I would like to thank the organizers and United Nations ESCAP for providing me an opportunity to discuss the state of the digital economy in Pakistan and possibilities of greater digital integration with the Arab states. So let me go over this quickly due to a lack of time. So before I discuss the opportunities and lessons, let me lay out some of the challenges. According to the Digital and Sustainable Regional Integration Index for the Asia Pacific region, calculated by the United Nations ESCAP, Pakistan is one of the least integrated economies in the region. So Pakistan has one of the highest average tariff rates on the imports of electronic goods within the region. There are a number of import and regulatory duties imposed on the import of mobile phones into Pakistan. Pakistan is also not a signatory of WTO's Information Technology Agreement, which represents about 97% of world trade in IT-related products. According to a recent report published by ESCAP, the costs are further exacerbated by the level of taxation on duty usage, which is not only high, but is subject to a complex web of taxes, right, that can discourage the use of digital products. Further, investors in Pakistan often face regulatory challenges as restrictions on cross-border transfers, rules regarding data retentions, and high instances of blocking and filtering of internet content can discourage investments. Although Pakistan is relatively restrictive in terms of its performance on the Digital Trade Restrictive Index by European Center of International Political Economy, there is one silver lining that I would like to mention that can allow greater integration with the Arab region and the rest of the world. Pakistan is one of the most liberal in terms of the restrictions on foreign investment in the digital sector. It is ranked second above Hong Kong. Pakistan allows 100% foreign equity in the IT sector with full repatriation of dividends, profits, and franchisee fees. Several of the large companies in the telecommunications sector are foreign owned, some of them headquartered in the Arab countries. The lack of restrictions on foreign investment makes it an attractive destination for foreign investors. However, other restrictions and uncertainty in the regulatory environment, as previously highlighted, are likely to discourage foreign investors. So let me go over with the opportunities now. So even with the challenges, there are certain lessons to be learned from the experience of Pakistan, as it took advantage of digital technologies to alleviate the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. Considering the impact on improving the quality of health infrastructure, digital technologies were used to map the disease incidence rates and provide data to the national agencies responsible in imposing COVID-19 related restrictions. While smartphone maps were developed to register COVID-19 patients as well as people traveling across national borders. Further, telehealth services were introduced by major hospitals. This is important in building bridges between Pakistan and Arab countries, as Pakistan is a popular destination for medical tourists from Arab countries. Those receiving treatment can benefit from the availability of telehealth services in Pakistan. Further, digital technologies were used to disperse cash handouts to the poorest households during the initial lockdown. So biometric payment systems were adopted, requests by recipients were made through mobile technologies, big data analytics were also used, and then approximately 15 million households were covered in the initial wave of the pandemic. Further, technologies such as digitally enabled mobile point of sale systems are being used to ensure that subsidized retail products reach their intended beneficiaries. Again, several foreign-owned banks in Pakistan are headquartered in the Arab countries, and some of them are actively participating in the distribution of social welfare payments through digital technologies. Last but not the least, a new initiative by the central bank allows non-resident Pakistanis to open digital accounts in Pakistani banks with much ease and without the cumbersome need of visiting a bank branch. This greatly benefits the Pakistani diaspora living in Arab countries, who contribute to a significant proportion of remittances received by Pakistan. So some of the recommendations highlighted in the recent report by United Nations ESCAP to promote digitalization of the economy include incentivizing the private sector to adopt digital technologies by not only lowering taxes and providing better financial access and incentives for small businesses, but also improving the quality of regulations targeting the digital sector. So the report also recommends speeding up accession to the framework agreement on facilitation of cross-border paperless trade in Asia and the Pacific, as well as becoming a member of the Patent Cooperation Treaty, which already has 154 contracting members. So in conclusion, I would like to state some of the lessons that could be learned by the lesser developed Arab states. First, the digital technologies such as the use of effective communication channels and tracing and tracking software was essential in dealing with the pandemic threat. Pakistan was relatively successful in dealing with the COVID-19 threat. The government implemented lockdowns with the help of digital technologies in places where the prevalence of COVID-19 was high. Second, Pakistan has improved its digital banking channels in the last couple of years to encourage the use of formal channels for the inflow of remittances. Third, the use of digital technologies with the help of data analysis has been crucial in ensuring the effectiveness of the social welfare system in Pakistan. Thank you.
Thank you, Adil. Next, let me go back to Mr. Yong Wang. Sorry, we didn't hear you at the beginning. So please.
Thank you. I'm Yong Wang from CICT. As my colleague from DRC have shared a lot, I just quickly share some experience from ICT sector aspect as a supplement. The first experience is strategy first. The central government made development strategies and the medium and long-term plans to guide the way forward for industry through top-level design. Local government at all levels introduce local policies based on those national strategies and plans to ensure their implementation. In the past 10 years, China released a set of strategies and policies in ICT sector, such as Broadband China, Internet Plus, digital economy, and new infrastructure. The second experience is further opening the market to encourage to encourage business innovation and market development. China has published several policies on industry development to guide the opening and the innovation development of the cloud computing, data center, and other ISP business market. Currently, there are over 1,000 market players. The certain experience is optimizing the environment to speed up the network construction planning and arrangement. Certainly promote broadband construction. We included in local urban-rural planning. Second, granted the right of way for broadband construction, ensuring that telecom operators have the right to access communities and commercial buildings, as well as subways, airports, and other public areas. The fourth experience.
Mr. Yongwang, time is running out.
Yeah. Okay. The fourth experience is promoting infrastructure sharing to reduce construction costs. The 50 experience is to narrow down the urban-rural digital divide. After 3 batches for universal services project, 98% of village could access to 4G network and fixed broadband. In a nutshell, where the development infrastructure and innovation-friendly regulation environment are the key factors for digital economy development in China. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and sorry for rushing you. The last speaker in this round is Mr. Ted Chen.
Hello, thank you for having me. So good morning, and thank you for providing me the opportunity to share on where and how youth can make contribution towards the digital economy. And through my youth engagement work with UN Major Group for Children and Youth, UNDP and ITU especially a central role in building up the local digital economy ecosystem for their community. So the grand challenges and opportunity is really in how to translate successful model of digital ecosystem to a low resource setting in which grassroots-led youth initiative and supporting youth entrepreneurship will be the key to bridge these gaps. And as public awareness and call for sustainability grows, governments around the world are also setting more stringent policy on how businesses should comply when it comes to sustainability. So with this, we see an increasing demand for green technology combined with green capital that creates more local jobs opportunity, encourage local grassroots-led innovations, and often in time, this spurs entrepreneurship for the local ecosystem. So I will like to share just one case study to conclude the above. So one interesting case that we see during this period as shown on the screen is that this is called the Co2 Connect Platform, which was originally launched in Singapore. The Co2 Connect is a digital platform supported by Project Greenprint. It is an initiative under the Monetary Authority of Singapore, where the platform aims to simplify and unlock green finance opportunities for small and medium-sized businesses. Although the initiative only starts with Singapore, we slowly to see other small and medium-sized businesses in the neighboring countries are also looking for such opportunity. So to run it off, I believe there are both challenges and opportunities in building a strong digital ecosystems in a low resource setting, and we can look towards green technology combined with green finance as an effective way to advance both the digital and the sustainable agenda to build a more inclusive and resilient society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ted Chen. A very interesting initiative and case. Over to you, Aman.
Thank you so much, Witada. Hope you hear me. Now, in the spirit of digital cooperation, we go to the second and very important part of the dialogue. After seeing all that investment by companies in infrastructure, in programs, in human resources, in legal and regulatory arrangements at the national level, at the grassroots, what do you think, Mr. Saud and Ms. Ala, Ms. Ala Abdulal. Our panelists from the Arab region, you have detected as room for cooperation across the two regions. Whoever wants to take the floor first, Mr. Saud or Ms. Ala. I see Ms. Ala has opened her camera. Ladies first. Yalla. With your permission,
Okay,
Dr. Saud.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ayman. So, as DCO, we are fully embracing the partnership with other national, regional, international bodies to further the cause of an inclusive digital economy. We see that those efforts are not competing with each other, rather than we see the benefit of the partnering with and learning with other organization, cultural approach, and region. And we have been seeing this, how the collective effort can really quickly impact and serve humanity in the case of the development of COVID-19 vaccinations. And as DCO, we have tangible evidence that we can elevate partnership between Asia and Arab, firstly through talking to governments and partnership with government leaders, where recently our Secretary General, Her Excellency went to Pakistan, met with the president, with the minister, with the government leaders. On her visit, launched the initiatives that will support and empower young youth and women and entrepreneurs, deploying expertise from our partners who are operating in Middle East, Asia, and America. Secondly, by utilizing our network with the private sector who are operating in global digital economy. And we are forming partnerships with the private sector organization across Asia and Arab, where it is in their interest to support the integration and harmonization of the different digital economies across the region, which will facilitate their work and will help them provide a more valuable and tangible value to their customers and to the world. So our action really demonstrates that we need to be truly inclusive in our collaborative effort across the region, where partnership is very important to create an impactful and positive and impact in connecting and empowering people to the digital economy.
Thank you. Mr. Saud, how do you see luring opportunities from the discourse that we got from the Asian colleagues and panelists?
Well, as my colleagues Ala said, that partnering with the region and with the international players in this will definitely impact how fast we can move, starting from where others has already stopped. We don't need to reinvent the wheels. We are not working alone here on this earth. So, as she said, as Ala said, that we are contacting our colleagues within international, organizations or individual to individual stage with whom we can learn and we can benefit. That will help us not only to work in a faster pace, but also to save resources, especially under these circumstances that we are all under. Okay, this is one thing. Second thing, also capacity building. We are, as any other developing countries, we lack certain capacities in the digital economy. Okay, we need to have sort of exchanging capacity between Omanis, non-Omanis, working with others, make knowledge transfer and localize it in-house. These are some of the areas where we can collaborate, and I see a great windows for, or opportunities for collaboration between Asia, Arab, other regions.
Very good. That is very obvious. It seems that a very smooth and soft approach in cooperation, for sure, there is a consensus on capacity building, on building knowledge sharing experiences, skills, which is a very gist of any dialogue and also any get to know your partner things. And from there, the opportunities will evolve. I will ask Witada to comment on that and take the discussion to the Asian side and listen to their takeaway observations. Witada?
Thank you very much. On my end, I would like to ask the distinguished speaker from Asia who would like to comment on this issues of how to build the synergies and collaborate between Arab and Asia. So I know who would like to speak, because I assume that maybe some speakers will not want to comment or leave it later. So Mr. Song Joo-san, floor is yours.
Great, thank you. In Korea, we have a unique cooperation program, which is called the Digital Government Cooperation Center. The Korean government dispatches an expert to partner country to provide consultations and promote cooperation projects. And the partner country provides office space and supplies, utilities, and staff for operation. Among our countries, Tunisia has operated the Digital Government Cooperation Center since 2020. And Korea and Tunisia are working together for cooperation projects such as public data inventory and one-stop public service portal. Other than the Digital Government Cooperation Center, the Korean government also has diverse programs and projects to share experience of digital innovation. My ministry, the Ministry of the Information Safety, has a division dedicated to international cooperation regarding digital government and public sector digital transformation. The division frequently holds seminars and workshops and attend them as well, and provides capacity-driven courses too. Please let me know if any countries is interested in further cooperation with Korean government. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sun. Dr. Wang Wei, you have a few words?
Yes, I think, well, the collaboration between Asia and Europe, it is a very important thing, and it's also, well, for China to collaborate with other country or other region is opening our mind in our country. And I think there were three ways we need to promote. The one way is to collaborate with company and companies. Yeah, you know, in China, we have several global platform company or unicorn. For example, Alibaba and Jingdong and Didi, they also have the operation globally. For example, Jingdong has operated in more than 40 countries, and Alibaba also in many countries, and can doing the business in different kind of language. So they can help the Arab to sharing the knowledge, technology, and help them to design the platform or doing the cross-border business that is possible at the current moment. And then the second is the cooperation between the governments. For example, China use our One Belt One Road initiatives to promote the information or internet connectivity along the trade and roads, and especially with aero. And so this kind of government cooperation would be very important. And the last one is the multiple level between agents to help the cooperation. For example, the RCEP is across the region to have the agreements and arrangements to help the every country to access the internet and a globally digital economy. So 3 ways. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Mr. Asta, please.
Thank you. You know, this is a symbolism which relevant to our current discussion on as we dialogue is a keyword. The Silk Road linked the Western world with the Middle East and China, while Central Asia was the bridge of that major conduit for trade. And it was, of course, China's BRI was announced in Astana in 2013, and Digital Silk Road is one of the components of Digital Kazakhstan strategy adopted in 2017. And the legal architecture of the Astana International Finance Center, which is based in our capital, in Kazakhstan, is based on Dubai model, which is actually Kazakhstan replicated, and it was the idea. AIC is developing to becoming a leading financial center in the region that includes several sub-regions. And now, as we know, access to payment services is a key to promoting intra and interregional e-commerce. And the FinTech Hub IFC is a structure within that center. In 2020, the first unicorn of Central Asia, FinTech Kaspi.kz, which is a marketplace of FinTech platform and payment system, sold extremely successfully 1 million of its shares with a market capitalization 6.5 billion. Today, this capitalization exceeds $20 billion. And just a few days ago, affiliate centers of Fourth Industrial Revolution of Kazakhstan and the affiliate center of the Fourth Industrial Revolution of United Arab Emirates agreed on cooperation focusing on emerging technologies portfolio. And currently now, ESCAP implements together with Kazakhstan's authorities and entities the regional cooperation and integration project on the establishment of Digital Solutions Center for Sustainable Development in Almaty. That would connect on the digital platform United Nations agencies, global and regional organizations such as ADB, and regional platforms in initiative as Asia Pacific Information Superhighway. Now, regarding the two words, common problems of Asian and Arab countries, we know the social exclusion and inequalities remain serious problem. And while the World Summit on Information Society was putting human capital and social issues at the center of digital transformation, that's why we just need to always to bear in mind that global platforms as Alibaba, Amazon, others, eBay, they do help marginalize to those marginalized population to get access to the markets. And a very interesting example, just to be used between our regions, for example, is a pilot projects to utilize. We have a concept of smart farming with tech leaders on the application of cutting-edge technologies such as big data to provide optimized environments for various crops and boost exports. And Korean corporation Nare Trend Inc. Agricultural technology company completed this pilot project in Kazakhstan. So this kind of things we should replicate between each other's, between two regions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I don't see other speaker from Asian side.
Okay.
Express ready to speak. Yeah. So over to you, Aman.
Thank you so much, and thanks for the very distinguished panelists from both sides of the dialogue, the Arab and the Asian side. I think that we have tons and wealth of knowledge about opportunities, about the status, and about possibilities from such a small and very quick exchange that is not more than 90 minutes. Actually, we took 15 minutes more. But that is for the benefit of that introduction. That start is a seed start for such a dialogue. I suggest, with your permission, if we can continue under the same name of the same initiative, the Asia-Arab Dialogue and Digital Economy, to make or to convene other type of encounters and meetings. Especially that, and that is the most important message I would like to say now to our colleagues in the Asian side. We in ESCWA and the Arab League of Arab States have partnered to develop the Arab Digital Agenda. The Arab Digital Agenda and Arab ICT strategy for the decade of action. And we are inspired by our colleagues and expertise in other regional commissions, whether ESCAP or Europe, ECE, or Afri-ECA, or ECLAC in Latin America. So we are putting together now the initiatives and the projects and the collaboration framework for implementing the Arab Digital Agenda and also for moving it into action. So I suggest that this dialogue continues. It will be very beneficial in the next year. It will be running in parallel to such a huge endeavor. And I would really love to see all the distinguished experts from the Arab region and from Asia region to continue in this, let us call it dynamic coalition on Asia-Arab Dialogue on Digital Economy. And maybe we can convert it to a AAA initiative or Asia-Arab Alliance on Digital Economy next year, inshallah, So let us hear your voice. If you are raising hands, if you consider this as a valid proposition, so please raise your hand so that we don't bombard you with emails and things unless you really feel that there is a benefit for taking this further to the next episode of dialogue. And we see how can we convert that into business opportunities. So I see Mr. Oscar Witada, Sangju, Wang, Hala, who else? Okay. So we have a majority of raising hands. I think we will follow up with an email. Thank you so much, Witada. Thank you, Torbjorn. And it has been a pleasure to do this in a very quick manner. That means we have real champions already on board. Thank you so much. Sorry for taking longer than planned.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ayman.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my colleagues.
Thank
Great.
you. We have a majority of raising hands. I think we will follow up with an
Under
email.
the slogan of
Thank you so
shaping
much,
our
Witada.
digital
Thank you,
future,
Torbjorn. And it has been
the Arab International
to do this
Digital Cooperation
in a
and
very
Development
quick
Forum
manner. That means we have
The CDF will bring together representatives and experts from Arab governments, the business sector, civil society, the technical community, academia, and international organizations. The CDF will be held virtually from 13 to 23 December 2021 by ESCO, LAS, ITU, UNCTAD, and UNDESA. Through almost 30 sessions over 8 days, you can participate in policy debate on priority issues in the fields of internet policies and digital development globally and in the Arab region. The CDF aims to align the Arab tracks of the World Summit on the Information Society and the Internet Governance Forum to maximize opportunities for digital cooperation. Register now to join us in this journey from 13 to 23 December. Together, let's shape our digital future.